We all know and love Kino Der Toten. It's a map that almost every single Call of Duty player has played or at least heard of. It's a map that I hold very close, one of the original maps that got me into zombies in the first place. I mean, half of my YouTube channel is named after Kino. I mean, there's no coincidence my name is Satchino and not just Satch. But today, that love will be tested, because I'm going to be attempting to get to as high a round as possible, hopefully around 50, but every single round I have to use an entirely new gun. The weapon swap challenge isn't anything new, in fact I've done a few of these on the channel, but it is a challenge that can be a very different experience each time. And it's basically just a game of luck, if your luck is in or if your luck is out. It's as simple as that. I'm also sure you all know exactly where this is going for me today then, but there are a few ground rules. Firstly, I can't just keep using the same guns over and over. For instance, just switching back and forth between the M16 and the MP40. And secondly, I'm only ever allowed one main gun in my inventory. So for the entire game, I've got to have the starting pistol in my pocket. Really just doubling down on the no switching between guns, you know? Want to try and keep things at least somewhat exciting. So we booted up Black Ops 1 Kino Der Toten and got to it. First round, I used a knife, as this is a weapon swap challenge after all. Round 2, the pistol was up. The reason I did it this way was to try and optimize points. I mean, if I want a decent round, I'm going to be doing a lot of pack-a-punching in the later rounds, so best to start grinding those points early on. Round 3, I picked up the Olympia, which does go against all of my morals, but it had to be done. And then it got me downed 10 seconds later. Just really doesn't need any more excuses for me to hate this thing even more than I already do. Round 4, M14 gang rise up as I pick up the best starting gun of all time. Do you hear that? The best, you know, because it's the best. There's no debates here on that at all, because it's the best. By the end of round 4, after a nicely timed double points, I was already sitting on a nice chunk of cheddar, so I decided to leave spawn, where I ended up finding the box immediately. My choices now were between a PM63 and the box, so I think we all know what I'm choosing here. Round 5, and it's dogs. The box is spun, and I get the Spaz 12, which honestly couldn't have been timed any more perfectly, as it just makes light work of early game dogs. With the dogs taken care of, it was time for a new gun, and I got myself the AUG from the box. I was more tempted this round to pick up the PM63, as I thought a weak gun early on might equal more points, but ultimately the box won. I am but a fickle man after all. Back end of round 6, with just a few zombies left, I move through the map a little more. We make it through to the stage and get power turned on. I head back, take out the last zombie, and now we end up in the changing room, and I pick myself up the MP5 for the next round. It's now round 7, and this is Black Ops 1, remember. This is where things begin to get a little bit dicey, especially as I still only have quick revive for a perk, so my goal for the end of round 7 was to get enough points together to grab myself Jug, which with a nice double points drop was made possible. End of round 7, Jug is bought and I'm feeling good. I also decided now that instead of using a gun the next round, I'd be using the Bowie knife. Might be considered a little cheaty, but oh well. It didn't really matter, however, as my plan to get all those points was pretty quickly ruined with a nuke, so I pretty much just played myself, because I ended the round with pretty much the same amount of points that I started it with. The next round, I was going to use the zaddy of all guns, the M16, but it was dogs, so I made the decision to run my first duplicate gun of the game, the M14. I thought to myself, let's play this smart. Instead of wasting 1200 points and a very good gun, let's just run the M14. Well, you see, I learned very quickly that an unpack-a-punched M14 on round 9 versus dogs is about as useful as a fat kid in a relay race. But I did make it work. Just. I only almost had another down, but we move. Round 10, and this time I did buy the M16, and I farmed points this round as I ended up with a little over 7,000 points. And the next gun up was the MP40. I was tempted to buy speed here as well, but I held off just in case I needed to do like an emergency pack-a-punch. Luckily, I didn't need to do that this round, as the MP40 just cleaned house. Not only did it bulldoze its way through the round, with the help of a double points, I ended the round with over 14,000 points. I was starting to get a nice cushion of points behind me. On round 12, I picked up both speed and the stakeout. I was a little worried that this would be the round I would would have to dip into those points for Pack-a-Punch, as the stakeout can be very hit and miss, but today it was a hit. It probably helped that 90% of this round was just crawlers for some reason, but I wasn't really complaining. That was until the next round when I hit the box and it gave me the Dragonov, possibly the worst gun in the game, and I had to use it to kill a round of dogs. But the only thing it was actually killing was my mental. The fact that this gun ships with 50 bullets, and it takes about 7 of those to kill a single dog at round 13, it isn't fun. But after much stress, we got through it, and I am never using that thing ever again. Round 14, we had another duplicate round with the M16, but round 15 is where things got interesting as I pulled the HS-10 from the box, and it became my first Pack-a-Punch gun on round 15. Which was so overpowered, and I walked through this round in about 45 seconds. Just everything got turned into powder. Actually didn't realize the HS-10 was that guy. Round 16 and I got myself the RPK, and I also grabbed myself double tap, which I know is kind of frowned upon on Black Ops 1, but I don't care because it makes gun go bare. The RPK also blitzed its way through the round, and the following round I picked up the AK-74U, which let me tell you, round 17, unpack-a-punched with double tap. Not the best combo for this gun, as I was almost out of ammo within seconds. If it weren't for the insta-kill drop I got, I think this might have been our second down, but we made it through. Just. Now the next 2 rounds, I kind of cheated. Round 18, I picked up the MP40. It was dogs and we walked through it. So the beginning of round 19, I opted to Pack-a-Punch the MP40 and use that version as my new gun for the round. And the only thing I'm basing this on, being a new gun and all, is simply the name change. So yeah, it wasn't even really that great an idea, to be honest, because it was pretty useless, and I was out of ammo within about 2 minutes, left panicking. And because I'm cheap and didn't want to spend the points on the ammo for this gun, I just bought the M16 and used that to clear out the rest of the round. For round 20, I went and hit the box where I got the Bear and then the Dragonov, and because I promised myself I wasn't doing that again, I spun the box once more and we got the Thunder Gun. Round 20 was blessed. We have the best gun in the game and it was a blast. Nothing stood a chance. Everything got blasted left, right and center. But all good things have to come to an end, and eventually at the end of the round it was time to switch out, and I got the CZ75. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't that mad. This is actually a half decent gun. With the CZ Pack-a-Punched, we got to killing zombies, and pretty quickly I realized that maybe double tap wasn't the best idea in the world, as I was once again running low on ammo within about a minute of the round starting, which not the best situation to constantly be in. Luckily, I managed to close out the round before fully running out of ammo, but things only got worse as I pulled the ballistic knife, which I took, and pretty much just doomed this run. I did try though. I Pack-a-Punched the ballistic knife and tried my hardest to make it work, killing maybe 1 or 2 zombies every, now and then. But eventually things got way too annoying and I swapped out the ballistic knife for the PM63. I took out a good chunk of the round, but as I went to buy ammo, I got myself stuck and I took it down. There wasn't much escape as the zombies surrounded me. As I made a break for it, I get hit a few times and take my final down on round 22. Round 22 isn't exactly the best in the world, so I ran it back. This time I switched things up. Instead of doing the second run on Black Ops 1, I went over to Black Ops 3. For Black Ops 3, I wanted to spice things up a bit. I allowed gobblegums, and before all the gobblegum elitist virgins come crying, I only allowed myself on the house and unquenchable, as every 10 rounds that I survived, I was going to allow myself to get 1 free random perk. Nothing too crazy, just something to help and see how far I could push this. First few rounds were almost identical to how they were on Black Ops 1. Knife only round 1, then pistol round 2, with the Shiva and RK5 on rounds 3 and then 4. Round 5 I left spawn and grabbed myself the Pharaoh. On low rounds I actually don't mind this gun, and when you pair it with the dual points like I did, it makes for a pretty good time. Round 6 and it's time for my first box hit of the game, and of course I get myself the Shiva. Thanks game. Round 6 was also dogs, but thankfully they're pushovers in this game, and the Shiva makes light work of them. The only time this gun is good. Round 7 and the box spits me out the Weevil. You know, I'm glad we're getting all of the meme guns early game, because God knows what I'd be doing if this was round 25. Beginning of round 8, I got myself Jug, and we also got the Dingo from the box, which at round 8 made light work of everything, and before I knew it we were on to the next, which was the AK-74U. I also decided to pick up Speed Cola, even though I didn't have as many points this game round. This game is just generally a bit easier, so it was worth the risk. And because I'm irresponsible, I took that risk even further as I made my way to Double Tap and got it bought. That left me with exactly 360 points once I'd taken out the final zombie. Now the cheapest gun on this game are the starting weapons at 500 points. So I had to rebuild barriers for points, like some kind of peasant. I mean, who seriously does this in the year 2023? Jesus Christ. Eventually, my peasant ass scrounged together enough points and I repurchased the RK5, which with the added benefit of Double Tap 2.0, it just cruised through the dogs. Round 11 was another duplicate round as I picked myself up the Pharaoh, but the main thing now was my free perk. As we'd made it past round 10, that was on the table. I took me and my Unquenchable over to the Wonder Fizz, got it spun, and we got Stamina up, which I for one was very happy with. The next few rounds, to try and build up some points, I focused on using war weapons. Round 12 was the ICR, which cruised through its respective round. The MP40 was up next, and the story was no different, and the same for the KN44 that took me through round 14. Round 15 was dogs, and I didn't want to waste a box spin on them, so I headed over to the L-Car, which made light work of them, and we then switched that out for the VMP. Now with the VMP in my hands, I may or may not have gotten a little cocky, and I may or may not have taken it down. So, yay. It wasn't over yet though, but it almost was, as I came very close to taking a second down that very same round. But with my cheeks clenched together, we made it through relatively unscathed. Before I recovered my perks, I hit the box. I only went and pulled myself the Thunder Gun, and this made getting my perks back a breeze. Annoyingly, round 17 also went by in a breeze, and before I knew it, I was trading in the Thunder Gun for an ICR. I also got myself an On the House to replenish my lost 5th perk, and this time I got Widows, so another dub. Because I hate dealing with crawlers, I took me and my ICR over to the alleyway, where I basically stayed for the remaining game. Round 19, I was lucky enough to pull the ray gun from the box, and as it was round 19, it didn't have too big an issue with just cruising through these zombies, and our time together was very short-lived, and on round 20, I got the M14. It was also dogs this round, which the M14 walked through, so our time together was also extremely short. Around 21, for the second time this game, I only went and pulled myself the Thunder Gun. The big blaster itself was back for a second go around. Things this time weren't as easygoing, as I did come very close to taking a second down, which would have been very embarrassing, but the Thunder Gun does what the Thunder Gun does and cleaned up the rest of these zombies with ease, and no further failures for yours truly. Round 22's weapon wasn't anywhere near as glamorous as the Thunder Gun, as we got the SVG. Now the SVG may not have all the bells and whistles like the Thunder Gun, but it does have the power, and it was very capable of one-shotting and clattering just all of the zombies, which I won't lie, I wasn't expecting, but it was very welcomed. However, what came next, not so much. We had crossed into the 20s, meaning another free perk was available, but this time I got Deadshot. And on Black Ops 3, it's not really the best perk to get. My gun for round 23 was, however, as I got the FFAR. Every gun I was using was just very good at killing zombies, which I for one was a big fan of, as the more cheddar that stays in my pocket, the better. The Drakon was round 24's weapon, and this gun is just stupid. No recoil, insane damage, easiest gun in the game to use in zombies, and it just obliterated everything that moved. Not a single zombie stood a chance this round. And the same was also said the next round, as I got everyone's favorite AR, the HVK. This thing is also just nuts, but this time it would have a very easy job, as it was dogs, which put me very comfortably into round 26. And for the third time this game, we got ourselves the Thunder Gun. Sometimes your luck is in with zombies, and very clearly today was my day. I mean, you already know the story with the Thunder Gun. It killed everything, and I was very quickly on to the next round. That being round 27. Here I get a hold of the KRM. As the KRM is pretty ass without Pack-a-Punch, especially at this round, that's the first thing I do. We get teleported, and in goes the KRM. For some reason, I didn't get an AAT equipped, which I for sure should have, because within about a minute of returning from Pack-a-Punch, I was completely out of ammo. It was also wild that the first gun I upgraded was also the worst. Like, I know the KRM is loved, but holy hell, this thing was bad. In the panic of not having ammo, I ran around looking for the gun's wallbuy, only to then remember that on Kino Der Toten, the shotgun wallbuy is the Argus, which is just lovely. It didn't matter much as I ended up taking it down as I was on my way to that wallbuy. And because there was no wallbuy for the KRM, I headed to the box and it gave me the VMP. I grabbed double tap and just got the blasting. It of course wasn't enough, and I ended up taking my final down of the game on round 27. Using 20 plus different weapons to make it to round 27 isn't necessarily the best or worst thing in the world, but it is what it is. And with that being said, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.